Hello, welcome back to our episode,
Dirt on Dirt,
where we get down and dirty in details about some Texas land.
My name is Neha.
And I'm Brittany.
And welcome back to episode 4. Today, we are going to talk about a very big topic, which is
restrictions.
Yes, that's a big one.
Huge.
I think one of the main criteria that people look for when they call us is, hey, I'm looking for something unrestricted, which absolutely makes sense. You're purchasing a property, especially in Texas, you most likely would want to do what you want with your own property or your own piece of land. Is it really unrestricted?
That's the question. So although we get that question a lot, is there restrictions? And the demand of, I don't want any restrictions, that's all fine and dandy. But what that really means is you can use a property for commercial, residential, farm, and that's it. You still have to go through the county to follow their guidelines.
I think when we talk about restrictions, it's really important to define what kind of restrictions there are in the first place. You should have, or you might come across restrictions coming from the city as far as zoning, county requirements, permitting requirements, deed restrictions, what we're usually familiar with. So we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it, starting with city limits, right? When a property is within city limits, there's most likely going to be some sort of zoning as to what you can do with the property. So although this parcel might have no deed restrictions, it might be within the city limits, causing it to have zoning laws.
For example, no deed restrictions, both in city limits. And the city has a say-so what it can be used for. So it can be zoned for residential, and they can tell you what they allow for residential. Is mobile homes allowed, or do they just want, a home built? There's a lot of variances when it comes to the city limits.
Yeah, and not to plug in some of our listings that we have, but we currently do have a property that has no deed restrictions in the city of Niederwald. So although the sellers didn't impose any restrictions on themselves, we still had to call the city to see what they would allow. So as far as restrictions, yes, you can put a home, but within city limits, you can only have one home per lot. So that's what it means what does restrictions or unrestricted mean? So I think a really important thing to point out here is that working with the right realtors will help you kind of guide through these gray areas, because when in real estate, I feel like there are a lot of gray areas. And we're kind of used to it. We know who to go to and who to speak to get the answers that you are looking for.
Yes, I agree. No restrictions doesn't mean there really isn't any regulations on them. So for the most part, we work with light restrictions, good neighboring restrictions. We don't want your neighbor or you living next to a junkyard. So that's why people put those deed restrictions on properties.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of things that you have to look out for are when ordinances change as well. Again, not to plug in, but we do have another listing where it's unrestricted. However, in this county, you need a minimum of 1 acre to get a septic permit. However, this property was platted prior to this ordinance being taken in place. So us doing the background research on it, we know that a septic would be permitted here. So yeah, that's something to look out for. Other than that, kind of what Brittany mentioned, deed restrictions are not your enemy. They are really there to protect your property value. And yes, you might feel restricted in some sort of way, but 9 out of 10 times when I talk to these buyers and I ask them like, hey, what is it that you're looking for? I know you want unrestricted, but what is it that you're looking to do?
Yeah.
And they end up saying, oh, I just want to build a nice house, or I just want to place a home and have a few animals. Well, great. The restrictions allow you to do that, all while making sure your neighbor doesn't turn it into the junkyard or breeding ground that Brittany had mentioned.
What are you wanting to do on the property? That's my question after they ask me if there's any restrictions on it. So that therefore we can make them comfortable in the decision of buying the property that they're interested in.
Well, we'll get in more details next episode, but thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye.